Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's featured Reddit stories are from Entitled People. Story 1 is by Sapphire. Person expecting me to give them my earnings for her charity cause. Years ago, I taught Zumba classes. When there was a tragedy or someone was in need, often a bunch of instructors from around town would get together and do a Zumbathon to raise money. I used to co-teach at a church, and the classes were very well attended. Like 2 classes per night twice a week with 100 to 150 people per class. Every once in a while, the church would ask us to do a fundraiser, and we would usually just announce ahead of time that we were donating that night's receipts to the church in case people wanted to contribute extra. One woman called me because she was part of a walkathon or something where you put a team together and the team raises money together to donate to the overall cause. She wanted me to donate the money we earned from a regular class to give to her for her charity. I explained that we are happy to do fundraisers for groups, but they have to provide the venue and participant. We would promote their event in our classes and teach for free, but it wasn't their event. She didn't like this. She figured since we do it for the church that hosted our classes, we should do it for her, too. I pointed out to her that this was my job and how I earned money to eat and pay my bills. She knew my co-instructor was a teacher, so she said she'd talk to her, since she had another job. I asked her if she'd already asked everyone else she knew to donate a day's wages to her cause. She was not happy with me. It still astounds me that this person decided the way to donate to a cause was to make someone else do all the work and sacrifice. My guess is this woman was up there in years and probably thought that a day's wages is something that everybody can sacrifice. A day's wages to some people right now can mean the difference between eating or not. So yeah, it's unreasonable for her to do that sort of thing to you. You do admit, though, that you're doing donations for the church up above occasionally. You donate one night's receipts to the church. But it is unreasonable for one solo person who's putting an event together to expect you to donate to just them. It's one thing to donate to an organization, even if it's not always the most sound organization on the planet. It's another thing entirely to donate to one person who says they're doing a charity. Especially if it's somebody that you don't know. I mean, if this was a friend and you knew that they were trustworthy, you'd probably do it for them. But you don't know this person, and she just asks you to give your entire night's earnings to her because you do it for the church. That's pretty unreasonable, but that's how most charities operate too. You meet people you don't know who are asking for your money. And how do you actually vet them with all the amount of scamming and fake organizations that exist nowadays? How do you even properly vet them? That's the real question. Our next story is by Toxalin. Lady at the holiday resort, seeing you get the karma you deserved still satisfies me to this day. My family and I went to Crete on holiday. A lovely, all-inclusive hotel. Close to the beach. Decent food, drinks, pools, sunbeds, all the fun things. The hotel was mainly people from Denmark. Thinking back, I don't actually remember there being anyone else but Danish people. I'm from Denmark myself. There was a woman and her husband who also spent the week at the hotel when we were there. The husband was very quiet and seemed to just be dragged around by her. We got quite used to her complaining at dinner, her fussy way of marching up to the young holiday guides in the hotel and nagging at them. But we did not mind her much at first. Me and my family love experiencing local culture. And while exploring the city we were in, on top of a tall hill at the back of the city, we found a wonderful local restaurant. It wasn't even really a restaurant. It was a Greek mama who cooked in her kitchen and let people eat on her terrace with a beautiful view of the sea. It was very humble. And the food, honest and amazing, just delicious in every way. The mama was so caring and kind and kept coming to interact with us. It was amazing. So we ate a couple of times by her along this week. One night, coming back to the hotel, the Karen comes marching up to us. Karen. How dare you? Us. What? Karen. You have paid for your all-inclusive meals, and then you didn't even eat dinner here? Us. We paid for it so we can do what we want with it, and if we want to eat somewhere else, we can do that. Karen: Don't you think that is a massive waste? Us: We're sure they're used to it. Karen: Well, I think it's disrespectful, and you ought to know better. Us just laughing and walking away from her. Well, the next day, her and her husband had booked this hike through the gorge. Samaria Gorge? Something like that. You hike through this natural area and then you end up in a rural city only available either by walking there or taking a boat. You then, when arriving at the city, take a boat and then a bus to get back to the hotel. Well, lady and husband weren't exactly fit. The reason we know what happened is because her and her husband were missing at breakfast. When they arrived later, her thundercloud was so heavy the whole hotel felt it. We then saw a very shaken hotel guide, a girl probably like 18 to 20 years old. Coming up to comfort her, she told the story. Well, the Karen and husband had taken this hike. Halfway through, their bodies had given up and they were too far in to return. So they had to wait for a couple of donkeys from the rural city to come pick them up and carry them to the end destination. Once arriving at the city, the last boat had sailed, and so they had to rent a hotel for the night on absolute overprice. And then, the next morning, take the boat and then the bus back. After this, Karen was still like a thundercloud the rest of the holiday. We didn't hear more from her. She and her husband stuck to each other in the corners and were more quiet. I feel sorry for them ruining their own holiday, and I'm glad for us they didn't ruin anything else, but have since just given us a lot to laugh about. Must be hard to be that entitled. And poor husband, my mind goes out to him. This is one of those situations where I cannot fathom what she gains by walking up to a random couple that she doesn't know. She's not related to them. They're not her kids or something. And berates them and belittles them for wasting food? But there's a possibility that somebody's going to eat that. They might just throw it away. I guess it is a little wasteful. If they didn't want to be wasteful, they can go to the food prep place and be like, we're not going to be eating here tonight. We're going to go check out this local place and eat there instead. But they paid for it. Whether it's wasteful or not, she has no right to come up to them and say it's wasteful and you should know better. It's just absurd. These people are independent, adult people on their own. You don't have to see them doing something you don't agree with and march up to them and give them a piece of your mind. No reason to do that. Our last story today is by Stuck in Your Room. Been saying to my parents for years that my sister is very entitled and they've ignored it until now. 17 female. My sister, who's 15, has always been selfish. Ever since she was a child, she would never share, never do anything for anyone else, but would expect everyone to do everything for her. Obviously, as a small child, that's understandable, but she's never grown out of it. My parents have always dismissed this as just her personality. My sister has always been rude to me specifically. She demands I do things for her. She demands I make her food. She demands I pay for her things. She demands I do this and that and the other. But if I ask the same, she shouts at me. I don't remember the last time she's done anything for anyone out of the kindness of her heart. She just shouts. There's been times I've been violently ill and bedridden due to a chronic illness, and I asked her if she could get me water, and she shouted at me. Even though I make her food and drink multiple times a day, because if I don't, she just won't eat. She's also rude about everything. Anytime someone talks to her, she has a tone or shouts. She's so difficult to have a conversation with. I say nice things and she's just rude to me, and she screams and is awful. And my parents say nothing, but if I dare talk half as bad as she does, I get told off. I've mentioned countless times the favoritism and how they see her as a perfect little angel, and they coddle her and rarely tell her off, and have never ever given her discipline, yet they always have to me. And they've acted like I was crazy. She's so manipulative. She always plays the victim and turns my parents against me when she is in the wrong. I told my parents that one day people are going to have enough of her in the real world, And I'm going to have to cut contact if her behavior continues, and again, they didn't want to listen and just thought it's because of sisterly love and it's normal sister behavior and not concerning behavior. Until this week, I went on a family reunion and my cousins, 23 male and 12 male, humbled her. She was doing her normal toxic behavior. She was talking to them rudely and rolling her eyes at them as she does every day to people. And my 23-year-old cousin wasn't having it. He was like, "Listen, if you keep acting like this in the real world, you're going to get slapped," and telling her she needs to cut her attitude, and my sister was just rudely like, sure, okay, as if he was stupid. And my 12-year-old cousin added that he always feels like she judges him because she always glares at him. Obviously, my parents couldn't deny this and was actually a really big wake-up call. They realized her behavior isn't just to immediate family and isn't normal to outsiders. And she would do this same behavior to people she isn't close with, not just her parents and sister. Now my parents are telling me I can't get her food and water and she needs to do things for herself, and they are forcing her to be independent, and they've been actually disciplining her when she's been toxic. She is not taking it well. She's been screaming at me, even though it's not my fault and I haven't done anything. It's a bit late, but I'm glad they're finally putting their foot down and no longer looking at her as the perfect little angel who can do no wrong. I just hope they actually stick to it. She's still young. There's a good chance that she can change, and yes, it may be her personality, but if it's allowed to be her personality, then she's just going to do it more. People of any age will walk all over you given the chance. So I'm glad they're starting to discipline her now, because she's going to realize pretty quickly people don't like that kind of attitude. And if she really wants to, she can keep being that way, but she's going to be very alone. She won't have any friends, and even family members are not going to want to help her out. She'll change her ways. I can tell you right now, nobody wants to be around someone like that. It's not acceptable for her to just scream to get what she wants. Our stories for today have come to a close. My cat is such a beautiful ball of black on the bed behind me. He brings me so much joy, you guys don't even know. He's having a snooze. He likes to be near me when I'm doing recordings. He's so cute. Until we meet again, have the most amazing day.